Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Okay, this is part 2 video for chapter 7, right? And this video will explain how to handle data input and output. Okay, in the first video, we have covered the first objective of chapter 7, which is user interface design. Okay, and this video we are going to cover the next two chapters, which are input design and output design issue. Right? Okay, we recap a bit what is user interface design. Okay, um, it is basically a key element of physical design, and it describes how users interact with a computer system, which consists of all hardware, software, screen, menus, function, and features that affect two-way communications between the users and the computer. Okay? Okay, at this stage, I assume that you are now understand about the concept of user interface design, right? So when you design the user interface, there are two things that you must know, which is the input design and output design. Okay, we start with the input design. What is input design? Okay, basically the objective of input design is to ensure the quality, accuracy, and timeliness of input data. Okay, a good input design requires attention to human factors as well as technology issues. So, input technology has changed dramatically in recent years, right? No matter how data enters an information system, the quality of the output is only as good as the quality of input. This is garbage in, garbage out, which is GIGO terms come out. Okay, this term is very familiar to IT professional. Okay, IT professional is the person who know the best time to avoid problems when the data is entered. Right? Okay, during input design, you determine how data will be captured and entered into the system. Okay, data captured use an automated or manual operated device to identify source data and convert it into computer readable form. Okay, for example, uh, the device to capture the data includes credit card scanners, okay, barcode readers, right? Okay, now data entry. Data entry is the process of manually entering data into the information system, which is usually in the form of keystrokes, okay, mouse clicks, touch screens, or spoken words. Okay. Okay, as I mentioned in a previous slide, input technology has changed dramatically in recent years, right? So look at this table, okay? From the traditional devices, for example, keyboard, mouse, pointing device, it's evolved to a body motion detection, advanced voice recognition, and biological feedback. Okay, now it's emerged to a brain-computer interface, neural network, and artificial intelligence. Okay, basically there has been a rapid expansion of new hardware to capture and enter data into a system, right? Okay, when designing a system analysts should consider on input and data entry methods. Okay, input methods are supposed to be cost effective, timely, and as simple as possible. So usually the first decision to make is whether to use batch input methods or online input methods. Basically, each method has advantages and disadvantages, and the system analyst must consider all factors. All right. Okay. We start with the batch inputs. Okay. For batch inputs, data entry usually is performed on a specified time schedule, such as daily, weekly, monthly, or longer. Okay. For example, batch input occurs when payroll department collects time cards at the end of the weeks and enters the data as a batch. Okay. Although batch input is used in a specific situation, but most of business activity requires online data entry. The online method offers major advantages, including the immediate validation and availability of data. So, a popular online input method is source data automation, okay, which is combines online data entry and automated data capture using input devices such as RFID uh, and magnetic data strips. All right. Source data automation is fast and accurate and minimize human involvement in the translation process. Okay, many large companies use a combination of source data automation and a powerful communication network to manage global operation instantly. Okay, some common examples of source data automation are point of sale. Okay, meaning that business that use point of sale terminals equipped with the barcode scanner, okay, automatic teller machines, okay, that reads data strips on bank card, right? Okay, next method is trade-offs, right? Although online input offers many advantages, it is still have some disadvantages, okay? Okay, for example, unless source data automation is used, okay, manual data entry is slower and more expensive than batch input because it is performed at the time the transaction occurs and often done when computer demand is at its highest. Okay, so the decision uh, to use batch or online input depends on business requirement. Okay. Okay, now input volume. Okay, to reduce input volume, you must reduce the number of data items required for each transaction. Okay, okay, basically, data capture and data entry require time and effort. So, when you reduce input volume, you may avoid unnecessary labor costs and get the data into the system more quickly and decrease the number of errors. Okay, that's the reason why we need to reduce the volume. Okay, in order to do that, you must follow these guidelines. Okay, that will help you reduce input volume. Okay. Guideline number one: input necessary data only. Meaning that do not input a data item unless it is needed by the system. Okay, for example, a completed order form, okay, might contain a name of the club who took the order. Okay, if that data is not needed by the system, the user should not enter it. Right? Okay. Number two, do not input data that the user can retrieve from the system files or calculate from other data. Okay. Number three, do not input constant data. Okay. For example, if orders are in batch, okay, with the same date, then a user should enter the order date only once for the first order in batch, right? If order are entered online, then the user can retrieve the order date automatically using the current system date. Okay. Okay. Number four, use codes. Codes are shorter than the data they represent, and coded input can reduce data entry time. Alright? Okay, as I mentioned earlier, okay, during the input design, you determine how data will be captured and entered into the system. Alright? So, in this slide, we will discuss about designing data entry screens, okay, in order for you to enter the data into the system. Okay, the most effective method of online data entry is form filling. Okay, so the following guidelines will help you to design data entry screen that are easy to learn and use. Okay, number one, restrict user access to screen location where data is entered. Okay, for example, the system should position the insertion point in the first data entry location. Okay, after the data is entered, The insertion point should move automatically to the entry location for the next field. Alright. Okay. And number 2, provide a descriptive caption for every field and show the user where to enter the data and the required or maximum field size. Alright. So number 3, display a sample format if a user must enter values in a field in a specific format. Okay, for example, provide an on-screen instruction to let users know that the date format is in month, day, year, okay, for example, and provide an example if the user must enter separators or slash. Okay, number 4, require an ending keystroke for every field. Okay, meaning that pressing the enter key or the tab key should signify the end of the field entry. Okay, please avoid a design that moves automatically to the next item when the field is full. Okay, number 5, do not require users to type leading zeros for numeric field. Okay, for example, if a 3-digit project numbers, let's say 045, the operator should be able to type 45 instead of 045 before pressing the enter key. Okay, number 6, do not require users to type trailing zeros for numbers that include decimals. Okay, for example, when a user types a value of 98, okay, the system should interpret the value as 998.00 if the field has been formatted to include numbers with 2 decimal place. Okay. Okay, guideline number 7. Display default values so operators can press the enter key to accept the suggested value. So if the default value is not appropriate, the operators can change it. Okay. Number 8, use a default value when a field value will be considered for successive records or throughout the data entry session. Okay. For example, if records are input in order by dates, okay, the date used in the first transaction should be used as the default date until a new date is entered, at which time the new date becomes the default value. Right. Number 9, display a list of acceptable values for fields and provide meaningful error message. Next is guideline number 10. Provide a way to leave the data entry screen at any time without entering the current record. Okay, for example, you provide cancel button or reset button. Okay. 11, provide users with an opportunity to confirm the accuracy of input data before entering it. Okay, for example, by displaying a message such as, are you sure to enter this data? Okay. So if the response is negative, the current record is not added and the user can correct the errors. Alright. Okay, number 12, provide a means for users to move among fields on the form. Okay. For example, after the user fills in each field and confirms the entry, the insertion point moves to the next field in a predetermined order. Okay. Okay, next, guideline number 13. Design the screen form layout to match the layout of the source document. Okay. Number 14, allow users to add, change, delete, and view records. And the last one, provide a method to allow users to search for specific information. Okay, these are the 15 guidelines that will help you design data entry screens in order to make it easy to learn and use. Alright. Okay, input errors. Okay, by reducing the number of input errors, data quality will be improved. Okay, one way to reduce input error is by eliminate unnecessary data entry. Okay, now the best defense against incorrect data is to identify and correct errors before they enter the system by using data validation check. Okay, a data validation check improves input quality by testing the data and rejecting any entry that fails to meet specified condition. All right. So system analysts can design at least 8 types of data validation check. Okay. For example, number one, sequence check. Okay, used when the data must be in some predetermined sequence. For example, data sequence check date, okay, DDMM, year, right? Okay, number two, existence check, used for mandatory data item. Okay, for example, if student record requires a metric numbers, okay, an existence check would not allow the user to save the record until the data entered is confirmed exists. All right. Number three, data type check. To test to ensure that a data item fits the required data type. Okay. For example, a numeric field must have only numbers or numeric symbol. Okay, alphabetical field can contain only characters A through Z. Right. Number four, range check, which is test data item to verify that they fall between a specified minimum and maximum value. Okay, for example, a daily hours worked by an employee, okay, must fall within the range 0 to 24 hours. Right. Number five, reasonableness check. Okay, to identify values that are questionable but not necessarily wrong. For example, a daily hours work value of 24 passes a 0 to 24 range check. Okay. Okay, number six is a validity check, which is used for data items that must have certain values. For example, verifying that a customer number on an order match a customer number in the customer file. Okay, normally we call it referential integrity, which is the value entered must refer to another value. Okay, number seven, combination check, which is performed on two or more fields to ensure that they are consistent or reasonable when considered together. Okay, the last one is the batch controls, which are total used to verify batch input. Okay, uh, batch control might check data items such as record counts and numeric field totals. Okay. Okay, as I mentioned earlier in this video, the quality of the output is only as good as the quality of the input. If you still remember the term of garbage in, garbage out, right? So a good input design requires attention to human factors as well as technology issues. So another topic discussed in input design is source documents, right? A source document basically collects input data, trigger or authorize an input action, and provides a record of the original transaction. So during the input design stage, you have to develop source documents that are easy to complete and use for data entry. Alright, so source documents typically include most of the zone shown in this figure. Okay, which consists of the heading zone, control zone, instruction zone, body zone, total zone, and authorization zone. So the heading zone usually contains the company name or logo and the title and number of the form. Alright. The control zone contains codes, identification information, numbers, and dates that are used for storing completed forms. Okay. Instruction zone contains instruction for completing the form. Okay. Uh, Basically, the main part of the form called body zone. Okay, which is usually takes up at least half of the space of the on the form and contains caption and area for entering variable data. Okay, so if totals are included on the form, they will appear in total zone. Okay, finally is the authorization zone, which contains any required signatures. Alright, that's all about the source documents. Okay, when designing the form, you must make sure that the information should flow on the form from left to right and top to bottom to match the way users read documents naturally. Okay, so a major challenge of web-based form design is that most people read and interact differently with on-screen information compared to paper forms. Okay, according to Dr. Jacob Nielsen, he believes that users can scan a page picking out individual words and sentences. Okay, as a result, uh, web designers must use scannable text to capture and hold a user's attention. So, in order for you to design a form that is attractive, readable, and effective, okay, layout and design also are important on a web-based form, and you can find many resources that will help you design efficient and user-friendly forms. All right. Okay, now input control. Which is the purpose of input control is to ensure that input data is correct, complete, and secure. So you must focus on input control during every phase of input design, starting with source documents, right? Okay, every piece of information should be traceable back to the input data that produced it. Okay, that means you must provide an audit trail that records the source of each data item and when it entered the system. Okay, basically, an audit trail also shows how and when data is accessed or changed and by whom. All right. Okay, a company must have procedures for handling source documents to ensure that data is not lost before it enters the system. Okay, so data security policies and procedures protect data from loss or damage, which is a vital goal in every organization. Okay, once data is entered, the company should store source documents in a safe location for some specified length of time. Okay, the company should have a record retention policy that meets all legal requirements and business needs. All right. So sensitive data can be encrypted or coded in a process called encryption. Okay. So only users with a decoding software can read it. I think that's all about input design. Okay. Okay. Please scan this code to access the quiz for chapter 7. Okay. Okay. Now we move to output design issues. Okay. Before designing output, you must ask yourself several questions. Okay, number one, what is the purpose of the output? Okay, next, who wants the information, why it is needed, and how will it be used? Okay, next is what specific information will be included? Okay, will the output be printed, viewed on screen, or both? Okay, okay, when will the information be provided and how often must it be updated? Okay, the last question is, do security or confidentiality issues exist? Okay, so the design process should not begin until you have answered those questions. Alright, so some of the information probably was gathered during the system analysis phase. So to complete your understanding, you should meet with users to find out exactly what kind of output they need. Okay, you can use for example prototype and mockups to obtain feedback throughout the design process. Okay, then after that the answer you will get uh, will affect your output design strategies. Okay, types of output. In the system design phase, you must design the actual reports, screen forms, and other output delivery methods, right? So during this process, you must consider the format and how it will be delivered, stored, and retrieved. So various type of output and technologies that are available, such as internet-based information delivery. Okay, for example, for a million of firms use the internet to reach new customers and markets around the world. Okay, they use user-friendly screen interfaces that display output and accept input from customer. Okay, next is email. Okay, for example, companies send new product information to customers via email. Okay, audio or video output can be attached to an email message, or using a telephone keypad, a customer can check a credit card balance, for example. Okay, other technologies are automatic facsimile systems. Okay, or fax back system, which allows a customer to request or fax using email via the company website or by telephone, which is the response is transmitted in a matter of seconds back to the user's fax machine. Okay, next is computer output microfilm, COM, which is often used by large firms to scan and store images of original documents to provide high quality records management and archiving. Okay, COM systems are especially important for legal reasons. Okay, or where it is necessary to display a signature, date stamp, or other visual features of a document. Okay, next is computer output to Laserdisc, COLD, which is a system for archiving data such as business records and reports to one or more optical discs in a compressed but easily retrievable format. Okay. Okay. In this table, show you the example of information delivery methods with their descriptions. Okay, you can read by yourself. Okay, the last topic in output design issue is specialized forms of output. Okay, an incredibly diverse marketplace requires a variety of specialized output, such as output from one system often becomes input into another system. Okay, and although digital technology has opened new horizon in business communications, printed output still is the most common type of output. Okay, so I think with that I will end this video with Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and thank you.